ride one time for your mind.
We got a good one coming. We got a good one coming up, guys. We got a good show.
Just ride one time for your mind.
My man. What's going on, Tom? And it's so beautiful to have the music turned off promptly here with the new and improved the Coaches Huddle. We are moving on from the aforementioned Bang Bang channel name. I tried, guys, but it's too clunky. It's too clunky. It's
Yep.
bang dash bang underscore hashtag money sign euro slash 49675431, and it's just way too much. And honestly, I tried my best to stay germane to the 49ers. I tried to, do something for the fans because I wanted to virtue signal towards our support of the team. I wanted to also support just my fandom for the team. I love the slogan, but let's be real. Which we are going to be real today.
Yeah.
The name was trash. I liked it in spirit, but the Coaches Huddle is a much more succinct name. It speaks to me. It actually speaks to the coach, and we're gonna move forward with this, right? So,
Yeah.
and look, listen, we got right here off the top rope already. We got my guy right here, Marco, Clutch Gene Sports Coach. Should I be a friendly person and drop info? Yes, you should drop info. As a matter of fact, Marco, you have no idea how much info you will drop today because we have some of your tweets here, my man, already set up and ready to go to talk about some of the injuries that we've seen in camp today. So, Marco, we already got you teed up, right? From your lips to God's ears. We are locked in. But right now, what I wanted to do is just, first of all, catch up. This is the first time on the channel since I've been in camp for a week, since we were able to sit down and actually see what the boys look like. And it's also the first time for me to get here with my guy, Tom. We got so much to
Yeah.
get
We got
into,
a lot
man.
to talk about.
Tom, how have you been, brother?
I'm great. We got the Olympics going on. I'm in my element. I'm loving life.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Awesome. So look, we got a couple of topics that I want to get into, and let's not bury the lead. Let's get right into it. The Brandon Aiyuk trade talks. We've heard information about Brandon Aiyuk literally all summer. It's heated up since camp. I mean, I've been on every side of this thing. I don't know anybody who's necessarily been just consistent all the way through, but let's just get to it, man. We got to
Coach,
discuss the ups and downs. Can you hear me?
chat saying we got an echo.
Chat saying that we got an echo.
Yeah, I come in twice. I speak on my microphone, and then it comes back on your audio on your end, like I'm on loudspeaker with you.
All right. Well, we can fix that right now. We about to fix this in real time. Literally right now. All right, now speak, Tom.
Okay, we all right?
All right. Are we all right right now with the echo? Just let me know if the audio sounds better.
Yeah, I think we're okay now.
Okay. All right.
But
so,
chat, let us know if the echo continues. But
guys, just let
I
us
think
know.
we're good.
Okay. We got better, sounds better. Good. There we go. So we're just gonna go ahead and lock in this way. So right now we need to discuss the ups and downs, the organizational blunders, the posturing by Brandon Aiyuk, the focus that it's not about money. I think that as we've gone through this and we've talked about the $30 million, what Brandon Aiyuk wants, splitting up the money juxtaposed to annual average versus guaranteed money, where that ranks Brandon Aiyuk, where that ranks Brandon Aiyuk with the rest of his contemporaries throughout the league, how that values Brandon Aiyuk within this offense. And right now we have to ask, where do we stand now? where do we stand right now with potentially Brandon Aiyuk? We're getting reports that deals are all but done. And the deal is done. We're just waiting on the Niners to basically pull the trigger. I mean, where do you stand on this?
Well, at this point, I think you have to just be resigned to the fact that Aiyuk will be gone eventually. It's just a question of, can they make a deal between the two teams? Can Lynch and Omar Khan come to an agreement on the compensation? And that's
Mhm.
the only thing that's holding things up. I've seen reports of Aiyuk agreeing to 26.2 million over 4 years. So we'll see if that's how it ends up. If so, then that would say that Aiyuk is more interested in getting out of San Francisco, given that the Niners' offer came in at 26 in their final offer.
I mean, right now, uh,
Oh, Marco's saying that's not true. Okay, so Marco, please let us know what is true,
yeah, I knew you.
because that's what I heard and read on Twitter this morning that I saw from some people I'm following in Pittsburgh that they were saying 26 too. And I thought that sounded low to me. I would think that Pittsburgh would be more interested in paying Aiyuk and welcoming him, making him feel like he's getting paid his market value. So I would expect that it's over 28.
Yeah, I mean, there's I mean, honestly, the reason why this all right, so let me get here because I don't want to get caught up in the weeds with the money, right? Because ultimately we're just talking about speculation, right?
Yeah, yeah, but it's
So
close though. Every report is saying that we're at the final stages of this.
right. So in my eyes, that's why I don't think this is about the money. I think this is about Brandon Ayuk's value. I think that he's no matter what the money was, I think Brandon, what's most important to Brandon Ayuk is being a number one receiver and the number one option on an offense. What do you think
And and
matters most to
getting
him?
and getting more targets as a number one receiver. Because
Right.
part of the problem for him is that his money will be tied in part to his stats. And if you don't get enough targets, then that's going to limit how much money he can make downstream.
Now this is outrageous. It says that Marco is telling us that the Niners didn't offer 26, they offered less. The offer from Pittsburgh is higher than 26. It's around 28 to 30. I mean, and you're also going to make him the focal point of the entire offense. So you got to look at it this way. In my opinion, Brandon Ayuk is saying to himself, I'll go to get paid more on a less talented team as long as I'm the number one option. I have to be the guy.
Well,
He's ready.
and at more targets, because in theory he's the number one receiver here, but he doesn't have enough targets. He led the league in yards per target. He doesn't want to do that. He wants the pure stats because that feeds how much money he gets paid.
All right. So I don't think it's about the pure stats. I think the stats are replicated. What he's done on this offense, anybody who's actually who matters, uh, but anybody who matters understands that he's gonna get paid eventually. That's why I don't think the Niners are ready for Brandon Ayuk to lead the team in a way on the field. I think Brandon Ayuk's role and what he wants to do now essentially means that you're gonna have to get rid of Debo.
Well, if you're going to keep Aiyuk, then yeah, it's one or the other. It can't be both. But from Kyle's perspective, he probably sees Debo as more valuable because the defense has to react to Debo because he's a one play drive waiting to happen potentially if you can get him the ball in space. Aiyuk, he's good at Yak, but he's not Debo Yak, and I think that that's part of why Kyle values Debo more.
From what perspective do you feel like where do the Niners stand? Where are the Niners culpable in this situation?
Oh, a
What do
lot of
you where
ways.
where do you see what where do you see is this on the Niners? Are we blaming anybody here or is this two sides just couldn't reach the middle?
Well,
Are we going is and I want to ask the chat. When if Brandon Ayuk moves on, I mean, is this a blame game situation? Are we? I mean, do you feel like there's something to blame? I feel. Do you? Let me ask the question first. Do you feel like there's somebody to blame who could have made this happen if Brandon Ayuk gets traded, especially during the time of the year that he's getting traded? Um, and is there something that could have been done? I'm gonna tell you this right now. Where I stand, before I listen to anybody else, where I stand is I'm reserving judgment until I see compensation. Regardless,
Yeah, we
business is
have to
still
see that
business.
before we can make final judgment, no doubt. I think the question is, what's the percentage that you would align blame? You know, how much blame would you assign to Aiyuk? How much to the Niners? So Caesar says 100. No, I'm in his direction, but not 100. I would say it's more like 80-20, 90-10, somewhere
Hmm.
in there, where it's mainly the Niners, but not completely. Because I think that Aiyuk has made some errors too in the way that he postured, and basically that he wanted attention, he wanted his team, he wanted his money, and it's just he came across as demanding too much and not really willing to talk until the Niners finally did. But the Niners are to blame because where's their fair market value offer? You know, Aiyuk can say, "Come on, start negotiating here," and the Niners didn't negotiate for months. And
Yeah, I mean,
according to reports now, they haven't negotiated for months at this point also. So it's just,
the
where was
Niners
the
did.
fair market value offer made, and why wasn't it made early? That's where I start the blame with the Niners. Then you have to look at, what about, if you wanted to move on from Aiyuk, why didn't you look to trade him during the draft?
Yeah,
That's when you get the best value. They're not playing to context. So that's also on their heads.
I don't buy this, Papa J. I don't think they're victims of circumstance. The market for the wide receivers blew up after the draft, right?
Well,
Like I don't see this. They had all of pre-draft to get this deal done. They could have been
right.
first in line to get this deal done. First
But
in
it
line.
but it's
And
not how they do business. It's, Parag wants his NBA 101, wait him out, and then they'll eventually have to cave. But have the Niners got a team friendly deal by waiting out? No. And so, in terms of what Papa J is saying, that the other factor on the wide receiver market is, could you predict that this was what was going to happen? Sure, you could. So it's not like, oh, gee, Jefferson got 32 million. You didn't think that was going to happen? Sure, it was.
right. I'm inclined to deal with salty cyclists here. You don't trade star players in August. I
Yeah,
mean,
that part of it's on them all the way. The timing is on them.
I mean, this is what completely throws me off with this is that what are you waiting for?
Yep.
What are you waiting for? The deals are only going to go but up. You think that somebody's going to be the first organization to say, no, we're going to be the guys to go against the trend in the middle of all of this. And not only that, but the player on his side is going to be the one guy to cross over the line and say, hey guys, I'm going to mess up the trend of all of us in an upward trajectory of getting paid right now and take a team friendly deal. Who does that?
Nobody. So, what are the Niners waiting for? Here's the answer that's painful. They're waiting because this is the Parag playbook. This is how he negotiates. And it doesn't respond to the market, the players, anything. And it has to change. One of the things that I'm rooting for is Parag to go to Leeds to run that team full time. Get Parag out of the Niners entirely. And it has to start with, this negotiation tactic's wrong.
Yo, like I agree with this. He was doing too much, but now that you hear like how this was rolled out, my man, you don't even start negotiations till after the draft. Then you give your first offer. It's less than average market value. Not market value, but average market value. And this is the deal that you give after you've told me that you're not reaching out to anybody. Now this kind of makes sense. Brandon's sitting here chilling the whole time, and it's like you drafted two receivers, one in the first round. Then I'm hearing retroactively, he didn't know this then, but now I'm hearing that you went and reached out to try to get Justin Jefferson, and you see what he
Yeah.
got
Yeah.
paid. You see what I'm saying? Like, if you really connect it all together in the right context, then so what are you saying? So Justin Jefferson, obviously, I may not be, no player's gonna say this, but we all know. Let's keep it 1,000 on here. Justin Jefferson is better than Brandon Aiyuk. So
Of
I don't
course.
think Brandon Aiyuk is saying, I want to get paid as Justin Jefferson, but I want to get paid like juxtaposed to, adjacent to
Well, and
Justin Jefferson.
beyond that is the loyalty question. Is you're about to negotiate a contract with me, and then you go out and make it public that you were after Justin Jefferson? That's a
Yeah,
mistake. And then starting with a low ball that's just laughably bad. And again, that's the Parag playbook. That playbook has to be canned. It doesn't work. It angers the player at the beginning of negotiation. You don't make a real market value deal until the summer. How does this work? I mean, you sign players, yes, but how many players to team-friendly deals? How is this strategy of Parag's working? It's not. It's time for this tactic to go.
and
Low
then
ball and wait doesn't work.
my bullshit radar is going off right now, Tom. And I'm not pushing back, but I want the chat to fill me on this and just tell me what you think about this. And I'm gonna float this idea. We see these guys as independent practitioners in an organization, as an organization should be ran.
Yeah.
There's checks and balances, right? The accounting department should not be dealing with data entry, right? Data entry should not be dealing with HR. HR should not be dealing with the network department. Like there's a way that you're supposed to run an organization. And a lot of times you can virtue signal towards that with titles, right? You know, like GM, president, head coach, owner. But that's not football, and you damn sure know that is not the way the 49ers are ran. They're very much a top-down organization, meaning that the
Sure.
higher you are, the more outreach and the more you can bleed into other fields or other departments inside of the organization. I mean, let's go with what we know. This is not conjecture. This is not conjecture. But what we know is that Kyle is remarkably overbearing. This is a man who has cameras inside of meeting rooms for surveillance, for live surveillance. We know
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
Okay? This is a guy who will stay lynched to his, no pun intended, his game plan through hook or crook and will not adapt. We know that adjustments is one of the worst qualities that he has. He is always going with what he knows. What do we know about the organization so far? Coaching staff in-house, right? They always go with people who've either been with the organization or know how the offense is ran, or they're retreads from his coaching years or his father's coaching years. The Niners really don't do outside. They really, and the Shanahan's damn sure don't do traditional. They don't do by the book. They very much reach their hands in. So what I'm here to push
Well,
back on is
they do their thing.
they do their thing. All right. So what I'm here to say is that I don't think it's Parag.
I do.
I think Parag is, I think that he's a figurehead. I think it's Kyle. I don't think that is John, because ultimately, what do we know throughout the years? We know that the reason why we're always looking at Kyle for some of the things that he needs to get better at is he is way too ingratiated with the players. He wants to be their friends. And not only does he want to be their friends, but he wants to be able to keep certain guys around him to be able to run his offense. And we also know that that is a toxic relationship between a player and a coach, right? And we also
Can
know,
be.
right. And we also know that all of the core players on this team have gotten exactly what they wanted when it came time for them to get paid. Okay.
Yeah.
By hook or crook, Nick Bosa got paid exactly what he wanted to get paid. They tried to play tough ball. Now, Parag, now let's just go with not yours, but the traditional route. Let's go with the traditional route. Parag was stonewalling Trent. There was no way they were going to go back and forth. The Chiefs were in tow, giving Trent exactly what he needed, right? It
Yeah.
was Kyle who came in to
Yeah,
play
but
good cop, to come
it's
in.
Kyle who came in at the end, and
But
that's
that's
what
the
I think he does here.
but
Because look at the history before Shanahan. The contracts are always the same pattern: below market low ball, wait it out a long, long time, stretch it out until you get near the season, and then make a deal.
Tom,
That's what they did before Shanahan, during Shanahan. And every report I've heard from a lot of people I trust is that the contract negotiations are Parag.
I'm gonna tell you this right now. If Parag was as powerful as he said as they say he is, then Kyle wouldn't be able to come in and completely rip his process out the floor.
Well,
That's
Kyle
what
has the
that's
power
what
over
I'm
the
saying.
roster. Well, yeah,
That's what I'm
but
saying.
Kyle
You see
has
what
the.
I'm saying?
Sorry. Oh, I see what you're saying, but my argument is the timing. Is that Kyle has the ultimate say. He has the final director's cut on this roster. And so Kyle can come in and say he can overrule Parag because Kyle is only below Jed in this organization. But Parag's the one that does the negotiation from the beginning of it. And then
But
Kyle steps in, and if Kyle wants the player, he'll step in and say, I want this. Then he'll talk to Jed. Jed will approve the money. Then it'll get done. And yeah, that'll override everything Parag did. But
Tom, you're not feeling me, bro.
prior to Kyle coming in, Parag was the right hand man for Jed. Jed trusts him a lot. And everything I've heard from a lot of people is that Parag is the one negotiating deals. Kyle comes in, Kyle will say, here's what I want, but he'll do it late. He won't do it early. Parag starts the process.
Tom, you're not hearing me. I hear all of that, right? You are making great succinct points, my man. But what I'm saying to you is that we are beyond the Parag A to Z. All right. That process has bled itself out. Okay. Once
Yeah, but it's
Parag,
part of why we're here.
once Parag, no, it's not. Hear me out.
Okay.
Once Parag puts out his overtures to BA, that's it. Parag only has a certain amount of rounds in a gun. That's it. All he can do is tell BA what the Niners will and will not do. Okay.
Yeah.
Kyle is the main person here that has gotten the deals done in the core. Just think about the core. Think about Kyle coming in the 11th hour for Trent Williams. Kyle coming in the 11th hour for Debo. Kyle
Yeah.
coming in the 11th hour for George. Okay. These are guys where I hear what your process is saying, but what I'm telling you is that there is a difference between Parag negotiating with Juwan Jennings, right? No disrespect, Juwan, but versus a Christian McCaffrey. You see what I'm saying? And the reason why I say Christian McCaffrey is because if I'm BA, the way he got signed is even letting me know that you guys are playing games with me. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Because
and BA knows that it's coming from Kyle.
Thank you.
And that's your point. I agree with
pushback
that.
coming from? This is not a Parag thing. You see what I'm
But
saying?
it is. Parag contributes to the
God damn
problem
it.
because he starts the negotiation. But to your point, Kyle can step in whenever he wants,
Mhm.
and he's not. And that's part of the problem with the stuff with Aiyuk is that Kyle didn't step in the way he has with other players, which tells you a lot about how Kyle thinks about Brandon Aiyuk.
Right. Hold on. And this, I want to stick with this. So Nick Falcon says, Coach, BA isn't CMC. You're missing the debate, and you put it in your own comment, bruh. BA knows he's not CMC, and that's what his problem is with the 49ers. His problem is that I contribute on the same level, and I want to matter, or I want to be able to I want to be considered on the same level as a CMC. This man skipped OTAs and you signed his deal at his wedding. You showed up at his wedding and got his deal done.
Right.
You tried to trade me, drafted my replacement, and then lowballed me before you even heard from me.
Right.
That's why I keep saying that this ain't about money. I understand that the $30 million is going to be a huge price to pay, and it virtue signals towards what we already know. It's going to be BA or Debo inevitably. But what I feel like is I truly feel like BA feels disrespected.
As he should.
Yeah, like this is
He's
not
been
about money.
disrespected. He's been disrespected throughout. Ultimately, to your point, what are the decision points in all of this process? The decision points made by Kyle are don't move toward BA in the final contract negotiations. And if he moves on, so be it. I've already got a solution.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what matters most is Kyle's decisions in this. And that's where BA can point to his decisions and say, look at the urgency of your decisions with McCaffrey. Look at the lack of them with me. That's the disrespect right there.
Yeah. I'm telling you, man, I'm I think that that this is beyond, this is about leadership in the offense. This is about leadership on the team. I mean, there's so many things to pay attention to. It's no coincidence that this is probably the best offseason that Debo has had, and the fact that Debo's going into a contract year. That all of a sudden Debo is one of the best leaders on the team, putting guys under his wing. Like, it all plays. It all
Well,
plays.
and
And
it's a contract year for Debo, so you get contract year Debo.
mhm.
And so he's going to change the way that he approaches things. But Kyle is going to be Kyle, and so part of what Coach isn't mad. He just wants to make his point.
Right, I'm
And
not mad.
his
I'm not
point's
mad.
his point is a good one. It's the organization does not value Brandon Aiyuk, and that's the reason Aiyuk is being traded. There's no denying that point at all. And Aiyuk can point to it and say, I was never given fair market value throughout the negotiation. And on top of that, it took them months before they even offered me something close to market value. Then
Yeah.
look at all the other action that they've taken, where they take care of CMC and they don't even talk to me. Come on. On top of the floor, the field aspects of where are my targets? I'm your most important receiver. I'm your best receiver. Why am I not being targeted more? And he's
Mhm.
valued there. He's right there too. So, from your perspective, look at the decisions, not the process, just the decisions alone. The decisions say we don't value Brandon Aiyuk the way Brandon Aiyuk values himself and sees himself within the structure of this team. And
Yeah.
from the outside looking in, I'd say, look how important Aiyuk is as a blocker, as the guy that takes on the number one DB and beats him, as the guy that can beat press man coverage, as the only guy on the roster who can. And you don't value those things and you think you can replace that, you're wrong.
Yeah. It's a shame.
Yeah, it's
And really
unforced error.
and really what's crazy is that BA hasn't been traded. He still has not been traded. So we got to keep the main thing the main thing. And I'm holding out hope until it actually happens. Until we look on the ticker and we get the news like everybody else.
Yeah,
The deal could we could still do the right thing.
it's
We could still do
possible
the right thing. And he's
because,
got a leg to stand on. BA does. And the only reason why I'm using this energy right now is because I was coming from the organization's perspective throughout the summer of saying, like, BA, this is quality versus quantity. Like, I understand that you're looking at the rest of the receivers in the league right now, and that is the quantitative analysis of what you're worth, right? Right. So you look at the quantity of what these guys are getting paid juxtaposed to where they are in the league and where you see yourself versus what you've done with your team. And you say, all right, well, if this guy got 30 and this guy got 29, I think hypothetically I should get 28. Right. And I get that.
yeah, it,
But then there's the quality side of, like, all right, but are you used at that level? Are you used at that clip? And
yeah, but
I,
he has no control over that.
yeah, and I was really on the organization side of recognizing this. But when you look at how the information has been rolled out, uh, they definitely weren't showing him that it was almost like they gave aggressive offers from the very jump. They
Yeah,
gave aggressive offers, letting him know, like, hey, none of this conversation is even going to be remotely close to how we value you. But this conversation is going to be all about how much value you can bring us juxtaposed at what we think you are right now. Basically, we can get a deal on you. And if that's how the Niners are talking, I don't blame BA.
oh, me
You got to
either.
pay me on top of watching Christian get paid, and then now you're dealing with me, and you got to pay Trent on the back end, and that's that's a full Nelson right there, dog. Like, you got to pay Trent. So we're
Yeah,
going to get
yeah.
into
There's
that
no
as well.
question. We'll hit that, but just to put a bow on this, I think you're exactly right that Aiyuk was disrespected throughout. The Niners never made a fair market value deal, and Aiyuk was only holding out for what he thought was his actual market value.
Mm-hmm.
Amon-Ra St. Brown's deal plus a little bit more, and that's probably if he does get traded to Pittsburgh. I bet that's what he gets is Amon-Ra plus a little bit more, and that's all the Niners had to do, and they weren't willing to do it. My issue with the organization is if you knew that going in and you said that we were only going to pay BA so much, then why don't you make the trade in the draft when you know that's the best trade value you're going to get back? If you already think that you're going to take all these receivers in the draft and you want to move on from Aiyuk, then why are you keeping Aiyuk? Why aren't you
Well,
trading him when it's the best time to trade him? And that's one of my issues with Kyle especially is that he doesn't pay attention to context. Hey, Hannibal wants to
yeah.
get in
Nah,
on
Hannibal
this too.
doing his job. Yeah, he over here pissed off too. Look, but let's stick right there though, Tom. I want to stick right there. Um, that's where we have to start looking at the 49ers.
Yeah.
Did they honestly think that they could tell BA that he's worth less than market value, but then go to the rest of the market, which is the NFL, and tell them that they want first round compensation for this guy?
Right.
And they didn't even see the real. Did they think that the rest of the league is just that dumb? Like, we're just gonna just give you whatever you want? I almost think that
Well,
they were a little
it's
bit surprised. Like,
yeah.
there's a little bit of negligence on their side too, of like not
Oh, sure there is.
understanding when to pull the trigger. Like, how are we okay? We can talk about Brandon, disrespect, 130 million. You're gonna go to a less team. Brandon, you're not gonna go to a Super Bowl winning team. All of that plays, cool. But are we gonna talk about the elephant in the room? How are you the San Francisco 49ers and trading for a star in August? How?
Yeah. It's the lowest market value. And how does that happen? Because Kyle doesn't plan. He doesn't have a strategy and commit to it, and he's not contextually aware. You have to know the best value you're going to get in an Aiyuk trade is right before the draft. If you wait, and here's another issue with them, if you wish into being your hope that Aiyuk will take less, and then you wait, and then you trade him in August, whose fault is that? Yours. And
Yo,
these are all things that Kyle does poorly. He doesn't strategize, and this is in the GM role only. Strategize, commit to the strategy, understand the context, and we'll get to this on the offensive line talk of not understanding the context. And you have to act upon your plan. You have to know this is when I should trade him. This is when I'm going to get the most value. No, I'm going to wish it into being that I can get BA for less. You're not. And here's a player that played exceptionally well for you and has a market value that everybody can agree to. And then you come out with your do as I say, not as I do, in terms of, well, I want a first round pick, but I'm only going to pay him number 2 receiver money. The league's not going to know you're talking out of both sides of your mouth. Sure, they are.
yeah. At this stage with the organization, them waiting this long into August, I mean, we're almost pretty sure that they're going to try to swing future picks to us as a good deal, right? Picks don't matter in this deal. If we get picks in this deal, that essentially, like, that doesn't matter. That's till next draft. So
Yeah.
right now we need a requisite starter. All players that we need to be starters, and we need to get more than one player for BA. I would preferably like players rather over picks, just straight players. And I don't really see anything that the Steelers would be smart enough to give up with Brandon Aiyuk, knowing that right now. And oh my god, so
Well,
let me
in
add,
terms of players, there's Daniels, their starting right guard, is the rumored player. He might be a player in the deal together with Picks, and we'll see. There
let
are
me
other people that are rumoring that it's Pickens. I don't believe that, but we'll see. A second round pick in the next draft is a good one. I think the next draft is better in the early second than this draft was. because there's more first-round talent in next year's draft than there was in this one. This year's draft had, I would say like 15 to arguably 18 legit first rounders. Next year's draft's going to have more. So that's going to push the second round to be a better value. But
So
we'll see how it all shakes out. But the picks do matter, but the player matters more, especially for this year when you're still trying to make a Super Bowl run.
did the Niners have it in them to be gangsters?
No.
What you know what I mean by that?
Yeah.
The Niners, and I want to hear this in the chat. Did the Niners have it in them to be gangsters? Do the Niners have it in them to say, you know what, Brandon? I don't care what offers came here. You're playing this year for $14 million. You're showing up. I'll see you week 1. We got camp. We got joint practices with New Orleans. I expect to see you there. And do the Niners have it in them to force BA to play throughout this whole season? Because if not, I don't see any other way but trading him. Because this would be all right. So if the deal gets done, this is what we will know. This is hands down the biggest flop that an organization has done to a player. Like, they're going to have to give him everything he wants in order for him to stay now. So right now, the Niners are given 3 decisions: either trade for a compensation package that you know isn't going to help you, no matter what it is. It's not going to help you as much as it could in the immediate future, right? Meaning right now on the field, whatever we get. So there's going to be some type of pick compensation where Pittsburgh's going to say, hey, man, it's not our fault that you came here late. All we got is picks. Yeah, we could have gave you picks that mattered. It's not our fault. On top of the fact, if it's really true that the Steelers have on their hands, man, we came to you before the draft. What are you talking about? What are you talking? So even with the deal with Pittsburgh, they even have that of the professional malfeasance to go at the Niners and say, bro, I know you may want some shit, but you saw what we were trying to give you before the draft. Now all of a sudden you're showing us that now you really showing us that you can't get the deal done. So you think that we're going to sweeten the pot for you now that we know that it's hot in your kitchen? Hell no. So,
and especially when Pittsburgh's the only one that's still being offering a trade. Why would Khan trade against himself in the trade negotiations? He wouldn't. And so the only thing that the Niners can do to apply any leverage is to go gangster. But can Kyle do that? No, we know he can't. We know that Lynch could, but Kyle would override him. I think that part of this and what we saw in the press conference yesterday, Kyle wants to move on.
Amp, you know you my dog too. I rock with Amp hard. Amp.
Highsmith, that ain't happening.
That ain't it. I'm sorry. If I'm Pittsburgh and I know that these guys are, first of all, we're not getting they're pairing BA with George Pickens. That's out of the question.
That's what makes the most sense for them.
That's what makes the most sense. So that's out of the question. At this stage, the Niners either got to force BA to play, they got to bend the craziest knee and give him exactly his bag, or they got to trade him for parts. That's it.
And they're going to trade him for parts because Kyle wants out. And Kyle makes the call.
That's why I'm saying this ain't about money.
The decision is not about money.
You see what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm telling you that I don't believe this is about money, because if this was about pure compensation, there's other ways of money. Compensation, rather. All right?
Yeah.
And if this was
fully
about
guaranteed money, what you given an upfront signing bonus, all of that stuff.
Moving on from Trey wasn't about his worth. It wasn't about.
No, it was eliminating the distraction.
Yeah. It's about getting rid of the blunder, because this is too much of a stain on our culture for who we say we are. And this guy can't be here because he is a representation of the fact that we're not perfect and we can't stomach that. So he's got to go. That's why I feel like this is really beyond the pale, because it's kind of getting like contentious now, where it's like now BA is basically all but exposed how the Niners have negotiated in this entire endeavor. And They look so unprofessional. They look so unprofessional. Would
Don't
this
say
have happened
look.
with Adam Peters here?
No, I don't think so. But we can never fully know because we don't have the full information to know what definitively happened. But take a look out of it. Just say are. They are unprofessional. They did make mistakes in every step of this process. Not offering a fair market value deal to start negotiations. Not offering a fair market deal for months into the negotiations. Not trading Aiyuk when you got the best return prior to the draft. All mistakes, all in the Niners, and it's a clown show.
Yeah. Like, and this right here, I'm seeing this like, there's no way. I'm not giving up Minkah Fitzpatrick. That's Pittsburgh would be beside themselves. There would be idiots to give this type of deal.
Well, the Niners have no leverage to force anybody.
They've got no leverage to ask for something like this.
Yeah, I've seen everything from Pat Fryermuth to Pickens to Minkah to Highsmith. I don't think any of that's happening. Khan doesn't have to give up a player of that caliber at all.
No.
Yeah, Daniels in a second, he might be able to get away with just that alone as the trade.
They're going to get a
because Kyle
deal.
wants out. Yeah, if I'm Lynch, I would say that, look, I'll do this for Daniels a second and a third. At least then you're getting some value back in the draft. But I think that Kyle is so eager to move on that I wouldn't expect them to get more than 50 cents in the dollar in a trade.
Judge Shuddy says, stop saying they didn't offer a fair deal. Aiyuk said the deal was basically done, then the market exploded. Look, listen to me. If you and I have a deal in principle, okay, and then the market exploded, does that mean that I walked away from the table or you walked away from the table? It means that the Niners did not want to keep the deal that they had in place, man. So you think that this is all about Brandon Aiyuk coming back and saying, no, the deal that I agreed upon, I don't want that deal. I want another deal. You don't think that would have been leaked? You don't think if Brandon Aiyuk came and agreed on a deal with the Niners and walked away from that deal, you don't think that the 49ers would find some way to put that out, that Brandon Aiyuk is not budging? Brandon Aiyuk has walked away from agreed terms. You don't think that you think the NFL plays that nice? What world are you living in?
No way. But beyond that, to Judd's point, stop saying they didn't offer a fair deal. Follow what I'm saying here. They didn't open the contract negotiations with a fair market deal. They offered a lowball that was ridiculous, and they always do. That's the opening hand from Barack. That's what he's always done throughout his time in the Niners, is he starts with a lowball that's not even near fair market value. He always does that, and that's my point. You didn't start the negotiations with any attempt at negotiating something that's close to market value, because that's how he wants to play it. It's what they taught us in business school is you always lowball to start, and that's what Parag does, and it just ends up pissing off the player, and things go downhill from there. It's just wrong.
Did you see that guy running on the field today? Did you see Robbie Anderson trying out today?
Yeah, that does not. It's not a good look.
How did that feel? My God. Why is he even being let in the building? Like, bro.
Where's your player eval?
Bro.
You honestly think Robbie Anderson can help you and make the team? Come on. It's just they're coming across as like it's this open cattle call to the world. Come here, work out for us, and we might take you.
Dog, I was beside myself. I was like, it looked like they found one of the parking attendants that I was walking past that camp, and they just took his vest off and was like, hey, man, want to run some routes with the 49ers today? Have the best time of your life. Like, bro, it's looking shaky, baby. It's looking shaky. I'm telling you.
Yeah, that's embarrassing.
So look, man, let's move into the next topic. I mean, we've
Yeah,
bled
we've
this one
talked
to
this out.
death. But right now, let's get into what else that we Trent. I mean, his holdout strategy is goated. Let's
Oh, sure.
analyze Trent Williams' strategic holdout for leverage against the Niners and the missed opportunity of drafting top offensive lineman prospects, and discussing the decisions. So right now, the Niners they have been trying out. I think this is their second to third offensive lineman that they are kicking the tires on now. Uh
Yeah.
And we're going to get to the offensive line critique. That's pretty much going to be one-on-one topic, right? We already got 45 minutes in, so let's just kind of get 2-in-1.
Okay.
But while the Niners are too busy, sitting on their tuffet with BA, Trent Williams is sitting there biting his nails as a 35-year-old veteran with no more guaranteed money. And if I'm Trent Williams, I just know the Niners are going to try to get my replacement in this draft. Dog, this was the most offensive line talented draft in the past 20 years, bro. You have not seen this many tackles in a first round or the first 2 days in a draft that could start in today's NFL in years. You haven't seen,
Well,
man, there were guards and centers that were starting quality that could push your pre-existing players in the third and fourth round in this draft. In
right.
the third and fourth round.
Well, this draft set a record for the most tackles taken in the first round.
Dude.
And you're the Niners, and you got a first round pick, and you didn't. And then you take two small receivers over any offensive tackle. What are you doing?
Look, I'm gonna tell you right now. If I'm Trent, I've got to be saying to myself, you guys really think that I'm gonna come to camp because you went and got excuse me, Dominic Pony? What? They put no pressure on Trent to be able to show up to camp and play out the rest of his deal. All right? At this stage of the game, we got guards playing tackle at training camp. I ain't seen Garrett Kingston play guard since he been in the NFL. That boy been playing tackle because we got too many low bodies at camp.
Man. Yeah, well, not taking a tackle just didn't make any sense. But what it comes down to, I think, is that they had planned to take Roger Rosengarten, and they weren't willing to move up to get ahead of Baltimore to make that pick. And again, it's Kyle not responding to the context. Prior to the draft, there were a lot of mock drafts that had Baltimore taking Rosengarten right there. You can't tell me that your NFL research on what other teams are doing didn't tell you that there was a high chance that they were going to take Rosengarten. Why didn't you trade up ahead of them? So then they get to that point, and now Kingsley Suamata is on the table, Marco's fave, and they trade out of the deal because they think, no, we don't want him. And now he's playing really well for Kansas City in camp, of course. Right. And I can't say anything because I was ragging on Suamata also. I thought that he was a great talent athletically, but he would take a while. Regardless, they had their opportunity at two tackles that could have played. They chose not to trade up when they should have, when it was obvious that that's what Baltimore was going to do. And then after that, then all of a sudden, now they're captain trade. Now we're going to trade out of our pick. Now we're going to trade up for Garendo. Come on.
Stop.
So it goes back to what's happened with Aiyuk. It's where's the situational awareness? That's one of Kyle's weaknesses as a GM, is that you have to know. You have to move up in that situation. The chances were good that he was going to get taken. And you send Lynch and Forster up to Seattle, and they go up to Husky Stadium and work him out. Obviously, they're interested in him. Staley's working with the guy. He can give you inside word. And then you don't trade up for him? What are you doing? But you do trade up for Garendo? Come on.
Look, man, there's guys. I mean, honestly, if you would have made the deal with the Steelers, at the very least, we'd have had Fatanu.
Right. That's who they took.
Yeah. I mean, at the very least, if you just want to do that, this right here is cap, and I want to stop this right now. There's a pandemic. I want to have a public service announcement. There's a pandemic going on with 49ers fans where they think just because we pick up an undrafted rookie free agent that he is going to be a starter. Stop! This kid is not a starter, okay?
He's too
Drake Nugent
small.
is a fringe pro player at best.
He doesn't have the arms even for center at the NFL level. It's just, and he's too small. It's just, we've gone through this before where, okay, Brendo worked out. He was an undrafted player and he ended up starting, but it took a while for that to happen. But then look at how the other ones, now people are talking up Nugent. Remember when they talked up the center from Arizona State and thought that West was going to be their starter too?
Oh, remember Donovan West? Oh, Donovan West.
Oh, Donovan West is awesome. Wait until he gets in our offense.
Shut up.
Well, we should have drafted Donovan West. What happened to him? Cut. Yeah,
come on, man.
What's going to happen with Nugent? Cut or practice squad at best. But I look at the guy and just say that you need a requisite size to play on the offensive line in the NFL. He doesn't have it.
You know, Kenny, if I did, go find it, put it on your wall, and get a tissue and some Lubriderm, all right? Have a good time, all right? Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. The facts is that I just called out something you said that I didn't agree with. I love you, buddy, but come on. It is what it is, all right? Donovan West is not a starter, all right? He's not a starter, all right? He's not a future starter. He doesn't have a future, all right? Just, it is what it is. So all I'm saying is that we have a lot of guys that the Niners bequeath, all right, and or just touching on a player, and we automatically think that there's going to be success. And the only reason, and I'm not being an honest broker right now. The only reason why I'm pushing back so hard, and it's not you, Kenny, specifically, but it's because of the bigger conversation that frustrates me, and that is that we don't value offensive line. We don't, man, and we should. As on top of the fact that we're supposed to be a running football team, and right about now, we're doing it again. We're making a patchwork. We have a patchwork quilt of an offensive line. Dog, the first day at camp, they couldn't even get a look. The offensive line was a sieve, man. They could not even get plays off. They couldn't block. What they put on the field on offensive line was so bad because of a couple of injuries that they have that they didn't even do one-on-ones with the D-line. That's facts.
Right.
That's not conjecture. That's not maybe, or I didn't think that. No, they didn't do it. And now we're getting guys that haven't played in years. What's the kid? We had a kid that we got from Minnesota, the tackle. What he played at? Detroit, Minnesota? He didn't even make it through Indy. I'm getting tweets. Hey, what's up with our new offensive lineman that we just signed? How'd he look today? Didn't even make it to team.
Yeah. Kenny points to Jason Kelce. That's true, but Kelce had tremendous speed, and he built up a lot of power. Can Nugent do that? Nugent doesn't have that kind of speed.
Yeah.
Part of what the Niners do is they will look at the speed drills for linemen. It's part of what they look at at Indy at the draft camp. And Nugent isn't that quick. Kelce was fast.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, and you know, I hate to, you know, the Niners are very keen on being sold on guys who do it versus them. You ever notice that? Like, if they want a player who played well against them. If they seen a guy and they saw what he did, they love his skill set because of what he did against them, right? Which is cool. I get that.
Yeah, that's
right?
common.
Right. And my thing is that if you're keen on guys who do things well, right? Then and you're always focused on what players do well against you, then why haven't you noticed that one of the key reasons that the Chiefs will always beat us is because they value their offensive line? Why don't we ever get that?
Well,
Why
and
don't we ever pick up on that?
the other thing I give Kansas City credit for is when they lost the Super Bowl, it's because they knew that they had the injuries in the offensive line, and that's why they lost. They knew in assessing their team of what they had to do going forward. They knew they had to address OL. Where's that same level of awareness and reaction from Kyle? It's not there.
Yeah. Um right now we're still trying to bring we're still trying to ho 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 ho. Hey man, hey, we see smoke, we light a match around here. We just don't walk past it. So Chiefs beat us because Kyle didn't use a split set on 3rd and 4. Bro, don't yo, put your pocket protector away, bro. Stop. Okay? Don't try to get analytical with me, dog. Stop. All right, we're not doing this. We're not doing this. All right. Patrick Mahomes put up 19 points against that defense. Okay? And the key reason why he only had to put up 19 points is because the running game worked. All right? They had guys who were Nick Allegretti was a backup, all right, who would be a starter on our offense. And as a matter of fact, he's a starter
On
now
most
in
teams.
Washington.
Right.
Okay? And he filled in and got them through the offseason. Stop. Okay. The reason why you don't got to go spend $19 million on a Christian McCaffrey when you can go get an Isaiah Pacheco is because you value the offensive line. Well, you don't have to go spend the money that we're spending. So stop. Stop. I don't want to hear it. They value things that we don't. That was the main point.
Yeah.
All right. Don't try to
and
trip me up.
That's clear. That's clear. Trip you. That's good.
It is what
I'm
just saying, bro.
Well, I was
can't
just laughing
do this as a guest, but we at my crib now. We at my house,
right.
so we can do
I
whatever
just
we
love
want to
that
do
the guy.
over here.
Yeah, the guy's name is Trip Aces, and you're telling him don't trip me up. I love that.
Yeah, I like that. No pun intended. I got you. I mean,
okay, so let's take it back to Trent. I think that I don't think there's any danger of Trent retiring. Trent has said before that he wants the money, and Kyle knows that he needs to sign Trent. The team has lost when Trent doesn't play. That's a clear line, and they have Jalen Moore as his backup. Now, if they don't sign Trent, this season's already over. They know that. And once Aiyuk is dealt with, then they'll have certainty on what the payroll is going to look like, and then I think they can take care of Trent. I think that's the delay. It's not about anything related to Trent. It's just they want cost certainty on the payroll once they've dealt with Aiyuk.
Yeah, I think I walked away from camp, and this is before. We hear things, Tom. You know how we get things, and we can't talk about what we hear, or we'll never hear things again. That's the way inside sources work, right?
Sure.
So it's like if you things. I mean, we knew about Cleveland a month ago. You know what I mean? We knew about Pittsburgh and the Patriots a while ago. We've known about this, right?
Right.
But part of the reason why why people let you know things is because you know how to shut the fuck up. You know what I'm saying? So we've seen this coming for a while with what was offered to BA. And we also saw this whole Trent situation coming. I think what just frustrates me the most is that walking away from camp, I didn't, now that there's definite news coming out where people are like standing on business, like, yo, he's getting traded. Now that we know what we do know now, I walked away from camp saying to myself, all right, if I'm going to be fair, I can sit here and be a dishonest broker and say, look, the offensive line looked like this. This is how Brock looked. This is how the receivers and, the defense looked. Coaching was this way on this day. But at the same time, there is a common denominator of that we're not a full team yet, right? So for whatever you see, you have to know that there's a completely different view that you're going to have on the team once they are completely assembled and moving as one. And I walked away from camp really reserving a lot of judgment. I mean, of course, I'm a pop off because, in the moment, you just have to say what you see. But I've reserved a lot of judgment on how I felt about this team moving forward with just one contingency is that it's very clear that BA and Trent Williams are missed. Like they need to be back, right? And
Yeah.
there's a lot of things that I want, and that's going to segue into our next topic, which is the training camp insights for 2024. And I walked away from camp feeling that way because I just felt like there was just way too much bad there for where this team was in the midway point into the camp. And I like the fact that me and Jesse Naylor at the time of Last Second Sports, we were going into the second week of camp because we got there on the first day of pads. We were going to be there past a break because I wanted to see how they came off of a break. And we were going to be passing the middle of training camp. So they should be warmed up either by the end of camp, right? So
Yeah.
I
In
love
theory.
in theory, exactly. So I love the position of the timing in which me and Jesse went to camp because I wanted to be able to see all those things. And I walked away from camp feeling a little uh disappointed or deflated, but one of the like saving graces I had was, well, BA's not here, right? And I didn't anticipate this whole BA stuff kind of like being a cloud over camp. And
Yeah.
Trent's not here, so let's be fair. But now that we're in a position where it could be a real possibility that either one of them is not coming back or possibly both, I think the Trent situation gets done, by the way.
Yeah.
um
Me too.
but now that we're there, I think that there's real implications that we may struggle getting into the playoffs, bro. Like,
Well,
and I'm not talking
especially if
about,
they start the year poorly. I'm worried
yeah.
about, okay, what if you don't get something done until late with Trent and he needs a game or two to ramp up? What happens in those first two games? Then you don't have Aiyuk, and CMC has the calf issue. What if he doesn't play? He doesn't play. Yeah, it's not looking good to open the year. And typically, when this team starts like 3-3 or something like that, they get in the playoffs. But because they don't have home field late in the playoffs, then they bow out because they've got the road NFC Championship game. And so that might be the ceiling this year if they don't start well. And I'm worried about a poor start because of all the injuries they're facing right now, plus in likelihood not having Aiyuk and maybe not CMC. And who knows when they're going to take care of Trent?
So this is the theme for me for camp was coverage sacks. And for me there's a lot of different layers to coverage sacks that they're not all built the same, right? Sometimes coverage sacks can be because the receivers aren't doing their job. Sometimes coverage sacks can come from the quarterback not doing his job. Sometimes coverage sacks happen because, quite frankly, believe it or not, sometimes the offensive line doesn't do their job. They could probably have a quick cut split where they're trying to get somebody on the ground. Offensive line may mess up on their protection, may hold guys up or hold them in throwing windows that they're not supposed to be in, and there could be a coverage sack due to the offensive line. There's a lot of different reasons why coverage sacks happens. But my point is that one of the main reasons why there was at least 4 to 5 coverage sacks per team period out of the 4 days that I was there for practices is the receivers could not separate. They could not get open. Our secondary, notwithstanding, is our best group on the team. Our
Yeah,
secondary and our running backs. I'm very pleased with Jordan Mason. I was with Elijah Mitchell, but now things may be a little different with Elijah Mitchell possibly being out for an extended period of time and us picking up some more running backs. So we don't know about that. But while we were there for point in time, the receivers couldn't get open, man, and they could not get separation. Um, I'm reserving judgment on Ricky Pearsall because I just didn't see enough of him. He wasn't playing a lot.
yeah,
Offensive line seemed to be a hodgepodge of mixed up guys. I mean, Coach Forrester can work as hard as he can, but Spencer Burford, I don't even think he's back at practice yet. He wasn't there throughout the entire week that I was there.
yeah. He's still got
Uh,
another week or two with his hand.
Yes, John Feliciano didn't practice today. He was out 3 of the 4 days that I was there. The one day that he was there, no, he was there for 2 days. The one practice that he actually went to team in, played in at guard, went off sides, came back in, played in at center, got blown off the ball. I just had to go ahead and just chuck all notes on him because he's just hurt. You could tell he's still not back all the way.
Yeah.
Uh Jalen Moore seems to be looking good. Jalen Moore is okay, but he's Jalen Moore. You know what I mean? It's like
He's got a low ceiling.
he's got a low ceiling. Exactly. And surprisingly enough, Aaron Banks is quietly having one of the worst camps
That's scary
for the team. I mean, Javon Hargraves is having his wicked way with him, doing whatever he wants in one-on-ones, team periods. I mean, you name it. Move the ball, beat the sticks, red zone, inside run. He's just getting whooped.
And is that because of Banks, or is Hargrave in better shape this year? What do you see?
My opinion is a little bit of both, but not enough of both. Whereas it's like, Aaron, you're getting beat because of your technique, and I feel like you're not in shape. And Javon, I feel like you're in a little bit of shape, but you're beating on a bad target. You know what I mean? It's like I almost got to see you against somebody else, right? Because we know what you give up in the run game. So, also, it took quite a while. It happened, but it took a little bit. But Jordan Elliott really didn't flash a lot during any of the practices while I was there.
That's scary too.
I'm sticking mainly to the trenches. Evan Anderson is a guy, little overweight for my taste. Has a good first step, but he's beating up on Drake Nugent. And that's the thing. Drake Nugent.
Well, yeah, but that doesn't really matter. Evan Anderson, Nugent doesn't matter. So the bottom line is they don't look good for now, but let's see what they look like once Trent is back. Let's see what happens with CMC and his health. And my concern with the Jets is you're going to need Trent ready. You're going to need CMC ready, because the way to beat the Jets is the run game, because they have an outstanding pass day. So you have to find a way to get through. And if you don't have Trent and CMC at 100%, that's a danger.
Mm-hmm. So I love these comments. So where are we being hyperbolic? Where's the hyperbole? Right? Because I'm only telling you what I saw and what's been reported on numerous times that was in camp. You know what I'm saying? That's the stuff that I try my best to stay out in front of, is that I don't want to just sit up here and cap. You know, I'm telling you what I see.
That's not what we do.
Right. And I get it. And you know what? In Showtime, I get that. Positivity is awesome when it's genuine. You don't want me to blow smoke up your ass, do you?
Right.
If that's your thing, pause. But all I'm saying is that, look, it's just the truth, bruh. It's what you see. You know? Like, all I'm telling you is that from what I have seen, okay, versus what I know the Niners look like when everybody is on the field, they leave a little bit less to be desired, man. And particularly in the trenches. All right? You don't want to know how the interior defensive line looks without Eric Armstead and Javon Kinlaw. You don't want to know what they look like now. You don't want to understand that maybe they could be having good reports, but they're doing it against a third string fringe offensive line. You don't want to know that. That's not important to you. You know what I'm saying?
It needs to be. It's just the value is in the inside. We trust what your eyes see, and then you report what your eyes see, and that's it. Now, you want positivity? Okay, we can still have a positive spin on this. Just because all these things are going bad right now doesn't mean it'll continue into the future. They still have one of the most talented teams in the league. They can still turn things around. They can still sign Trent. They can still get CMC healthy, and they'll be okay to go against the Jets. Mm-hmm. We're not predicting doom and gloom for the entire season. We're just saying that as of right now, in this snapshot in time, there's some things to be concerned about.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you this right now. There were a lot of positive things that I saw at camp. And if you want to talk to me about, I feel like this is a production meeting. This sounds like something that some people that help me with YouTube would talk about afterwards. It's like, Coach, maybe you could just start talking about some of the positive things that the Niners do. That's way you'll get more fit. I get conversations like this. You know I do. Coach.
I know you do, but the value of you is your insight and your truth. You are all integrity. And that's
Yo,
why people are here. They want to hear the truth from you. They don't want to hear sunshine. You can go elsewhere for sunshine.
I get
I
this
want to hear what you
conversation
saw. I want to
all
hear
the
what you
time.
saw, period.
I saw great things. I saw great things at Coach. You know what I'm saying? I saw great things at camp, man. I did. But those are things that we already know. So what do you want me to tell you? That Nick Bosa looks like Nick Bosa? You know what I'm saying? So it's do you want me to tell you that Travarius Ward looks in shape and ready to play? He does. Fred Warner looks like Fred Warner, guys. He gained a little bit of weight. He cheers on the team all the time. He pumps his fist and he looks good. All right. Jair Brown looks phenomenal on all of the plays that he wants to make. It's like, why can't we? It's not even why, but I want to. It's not why because we can. But what I want to do is start promoting being able to talk about our team with context because for we got first world issues. We actually came out of the Super Bowl. So the problem is that we don't suck. We don't suck. So for us to be able to talk about whether we're good or bad or the things that we're worried about, potentially, I mean, the only thing that we're really talking about is our standard. And we're talking about our standard not being met. That's it. All right.
Yeah.
Now, if our standard dips into the rest of the 31 teams below us or the 29 teams below us, you know what I'm saying? Then we got problems. But right now, there's only one team that we're looking up at. But from our perspective, we know what we need to get better at, and some of those things are not getting worked on. And we also understand that it don't last. It does not last. So, you know,
Yeah.
even for the Chiefs, there's an expiration date on all of this, and we're getting older. And I got to be honest about how we looked in camp. Uh, I was there for 4 days. They had one hard day. One hard day. The third, I saw 3 practices in a row. The first padded practice was like, my God, so bad. The second practice was actually their hardest day, and their second practice was so good. I felt bad about all of the commentary that I had on the first practice. Offensive line blocked. Everybody had a good. I mean, they had over 60 plays a team. They looked good, and then they went
Okay.
downhill from that. From that
Yeah.
day on, even the day after they had a day off, they had a day off on Thursday, came into practice on Friday, and they were flat.
Okay.
And so I feel like from my perspective, I'm telling them I'm going to tell supporters what I'm talking to Jesse about, what I'm talking to you about, and that is the joint practices will tell you everything.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
joint
We'll
and
find out a lot in Irvine. No question.
definitely.
No question.
And particularly enough, I like Trip Aces. You got to keep coming back because this is exactly what you saw in team. A lot of quick game, because they could not traditionally drop back for 3 to 5 step to 7, not even 7, but 3 to 5 step drops. Traditional drop back game. Our offensive line isn't built for it. The only way they could move the ball with putting the ball out was going quick game, or Kyle had to get Christian going or get Jordan or Elijah going early and get a good run game going. Then they started using full slide protection with play action pass, and they started going deep a little bit with that. But as far as like traditionally dropping back and letting Brock go out there and just sling the ball around, we need our real guys to come back because what they're practicing with is not it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I
Well,
mean,
I'm worried about what you have to say about Banks. If Banks is playing that poorly, that's a real concern.
yeah,
They
I
don't
mean,
have
right.
anything that they can turn to there. He's it.
He doesn't seem like he's in shape.
Ooh.
To be real with you, like I seen Aaron Banks, and when I say in shape for an offensive lineman, it's the little things, man. You got to be, if you ain't never been over 300 pounds, like please just sit down and listen. But it's the little things about being a big man in camp. Um, Shifting your weight, rocking while you stand. You know what I'm saying? Instead of being able to just stand rooted and be tired. That's a
Yeah.
sign of being out of shape. Taking his helmet off, finding like little opportunities to take blows of rest. Like he'll go through an individual and then immediately take his helmet off and get watered down. And it's like, why are you thirsty? Why do you need a blow right now? You just went through one rep, right? Laboring through team,
Yeah.
not fighting and having bad reps where, there's a difference between watching a rep between an offensive and a defensive lineman and you see a rep and you're like, all right, you zig where you zag right there. I saw the effort, but you got beat. I'm not talking about there. When you see a man get moved from point A to point B by pure strength in NFL, something went wrong. Something went wrong. You're not supposed to get moved like that. I don't care. Even if you did something wrong, you're not supposed to get moved like that. I don't see, any growth from last year. Let's like full stop. Let's take away
Yeah.
from what I see in camp. I don't look at Aaron Banks and say to myself, man, he lost weight, or man, Aaron looks like he really chiseled up over the summer. Aaron looks like he's kind of reverting back into his rookie body. When Aaron took a year off, he lost a lot of fat, he gained a lot more muscle. Aaron has maybe like a boxy torso. It's not necessarily that long, but when Aaron gains weight, he kind of gets like this snowman effect. It kind of like his arms flail out, and that weight starts hitting up in his face. And I'm only telling you fat man stuff. You gotta know. You gotta know what you're looking at.
Yeah, you got to be
Juxtaposed
honest, right?
juxtaposed to Spencer Burford. Spencer Burford looks like he's in the best shape of his life. All right. He's chiseled. His shoulders are protruding. His chest is upright. When he's walking, he's got huge, good posture because you can tell that he's been squatting all summer, that he's naturally elongated and upright. You even
Okay.
watching him run off onto the side, you can see that boy's been running all summer. All right. This is not something that's new to him. I'm telling you, Aaron Banks is out of shape. You know what I'm saying? And I'm telling you, right now, I think that if the Niners were smart, uh, they would try to I think that they're trying to get Pooney prepared for taking over that guard position. I don't think they're getting Pooney prepared for that right guard position. I think it's left guard.
Well, he
Because
played
Aaron Banks
right
is
guard
not.
at Kansas, but yeah, he's going to have to play left guard because I think the plan is they're going to let Banks go, thinking that he's going to be worth too much in free agency, and they're going to get, or he's going to get, a market offer beyond what the Niners are willing to pay. I think that's what Pooney was drafted for, is to replace Banks.
Hell yeah. Well, hey, look, Tom, one in the books. Me and you are going to start going every Wednesday at 5. It's me. I'm the drama. I'm the problem. Okay.
No, you're
But
not.
hey, man,
You're the feature, not the bug.
look, Tom, I would not be here if it wasn't for you. Also, guys, spread the word. The new channel name is The Coach's Huddle. We are done with Bang Bang. We are changing the channel name. I'm going to get some fire ass logos out there to be able to represent the new brand. Tom is coming out with a channel. He's coming out. He has a channel. And we're going to start putting on.
Yeah,
which
I'm going to get that rolling in a couple weeks.
It's coming. Mustafa looks good. And that's all he does is he just looks good. I feel like he disappeared.
Well,
once
he
the
made
pads
some
came
good
on.
plays with the picks in earlier in the camp.
Yeah, but he disappeared once the pads came on.
Okay,
George
that's
Odom
important.
he disappeared.
Odom had 2 picks today.
Yeah. No, not already, Kenny. Kenny, you're like my little brother, man. You always say something annoying. Like, right when I'm trying, I can't even be positive. Here comes Kenny. Rebranding already? Shut up. No, I'm not rebranded already.
Come on, Kenny.
It's harder to find, Kenny. You know what I'm saying? And I have to be able to put something that's basically more germane to me. And It's also not so Niner centric to the point where, like, honestly, Bang Bang Niner Gang is kind of their Logan and slogan, right? It's their logo and slogan. So I had to kind of make a little bit of changes so I could be a little bit more unique. Guys and gals can find my channel a little bit easier. Okay. And I'm an open book, bro. That's why I love pointing out stuff in the comments, bro. Like, because I feel like I know all of you, right? And we can all be friends, or I can just punch you in the face when we see each other. It'd be cool, right? Either way. You know what I'm saying? Yo, so look, this is the coach. This is Tom. Stay low and keep your feet moving, man. You know, you guys are my guys, man. We're just going to play it again. And you always know that we're here every Wednesday. I got Marco coming up on Tuesdays, Grant on Thursdays, Larry on Saturdays, and we coming on Fridays, guys. Have a good day, and I'll see you guys later, man.